Hey,
Well, hello
Steve.
there. Hello there.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. This is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb with Stephanie McPhail, and I'm Steve Vaccaro. And every now and then you and I get together like this, right?
I know. I love it. I've been missing your face, so I'm glad that we're hanging out today. Wednesdays are a
Wow.
special day for me because of this exact thing that we do.
Yes, you know what? Not too many people miss my face, but I'm glad you're the one that does miss my face. But, I'm trying to figure out if we have a healthy relationship or unhealthy relationship. Because let me tell our viewers out there, we got together this show about a year ago, right? Over a year ago. We did one live show together in Huntington. And then the pandemic hit. And then you hightailed it over to Texas. And we've only been doing these shows virtually. So I got to make sure, first of all, are you still in Texas? Are you moving further away from me?
As far away as I possibly can. No,
Okay.
I'm doing really well. I actually think that's a sign of a really healthy relationship. The fact that we can be distanced and still be able to communicate so well and still be able to hang out and make time for each other, I think that's a really good sign.
That's right. No, I agree. You're one of my favorite people on this planet. And you've actually, during the pandemic, you set me up with the whole video thing and the StreamYard. So I want to thank the folks at StreamYard because they've allowed us to do what we do and everybody else to do what they do. But you kind of worked through the ropes with me. Then you pushed me to do my clinical stuff and be more out there and be more assertive and to do those kind of things. So now I actually have a bunch of things going on. I actually have a new website.
Nice.
I'm doing 2 support groups. One support group is for parents, and one support group is for kids. So this parent support group is going to start in May, and the topic is coping with life challenges and navigating the journey by empowering our children to succeed. It's going to be in person and virtual. So I'm kind of excited about that. I already have 8 parents that have contacted me. So this is a good thing because as a psychologist, we have to teach our children well, and during these difficult times, it's challenging for all of us. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I love the fact that you're putting your information out there because I think that it's so needed right now. Parents, there's kind of even still now, it's getting so close to the end, but there's burnout. I mean, the kids are exhausted, the parents are exhausted. Like this was supposed to be a few weeks, months, maybe. Now we've already surpassed the year anniversary of closing everything down, So yeah, I mean, what you're doing is so great to be able to help people really know that there's support, they're not alone, and that they can get better and help their children more effectively.
Right, and I also have a support group for young adults, and it's a new world. Let's develop a better work ethic, network of friends to become more independent, in person and virtual again. That also starting in May because a lot of the kids are in school are isolated and building up more anxiety, more depression, and more dysfunctional behaviors working with the kids and the families and isolated and disconnected from their friends. It's a really changing world and difficult time for all of us.
Mm-hmm. It's more and more people are getting vaccinated. More and more people are feeling comfortable to go out and about. And I think it's just none of us really know what to do. And I think that really banding together and doing such great work like you do, Steve, and really helping the community and going out there and giving back, I think is so great that you're able to do that. So thank you from the community at large for doing all the great work you're doing.
Yeah, and we together, we've been I know we've been hit or miss with our show recently, but now we're all hit. We have guests out the kazooie right now. So we have all kinds of people. Thanks to you, Stephanie, you're connecting with so many great people.
I have some really amazing guests coming up in the next few weeks. And of course, Tiffany, who's going to be coming on soon, is great. Yes. As soon as I met her, I said she has to come on our show. So if this is your first time tuning in, definitely don't make it the last. Set yourself a reminder to come and watch us weekly. We're going to have some really great guests for those of you who are looking to kick all sorts of unhealthy relationships to the curb.
Yeah, we have a guest next week. We might as well put her on the screen right now. Shavoni, so she's a great person. I think we have a picture of her. Maybe we don't, but she's next week and the week after. We have Marta Spurk. I mean, it's unbelievable guest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, definitely tune in. I mean, this is the time, and like you said, things right now are many more things are going virtually. We're relying more and more on social media. There's a lot of great resources out there if you're doing like looking in the right places. And so we really want to be able to bring those resources to you so you don't have to search, because sometimes it's hard to figure out, like, is this person going to be helpful? Are they not going to be helpful? We're going to take the guesswork out, and we're going to bring all these great resources right to you, and you just have to come and hang out with us.
That's right. That's right. Every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, kick Unhealthy Relationships to the curb. That's Stephanie McPhail, and I'm Steve Vaccaro. And your family has gone through a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and it looks like things are on the mend and things are great. Share a little bit about what you've gone through with your husband and family.
Well, you know, when I moved to Texas, I was excited for all the new beginnings and to start new and see, you know, Texas, because I wasn't really that familiar with Texas. I had been, but I'd never lived here before. And pretty quickly after we moved here, about 3 weeks in, we bought the refrigerator from hell. It must have been possessed. We don't really know what happened. But we got this refrigerator. My husband got sick. We didn't know what was wrong. Ended up he had diverticulitis that had perforated, which meant surgery. Then they found out he had appendicitis. So he had to have his appendix removed. Then there was complications from that. He had to get emergency surgery. Then he was for 6 weeks with a colostomy bag, which anyone knows, that's not fun. That's basically you're excreting out of your body, which was terrible, you know, and really psychologically can mess with your head. And then he had that reversed, and then had some kind of complication from there and was in hours of dying. I mean, we have become friends with the surgeons, and they said it wasn't just like a few days. They were actually calculating the probability of him surviving the surgery. So, I mean, he was in the hospital for 32 days. And so I was trying to juggle, you know, going to the hospital to visit my husband and support him and, you know, speak for him, and also run my business and, you know, do all the different things that I'm doing. And I was, you know, it's a good reality check. And I had people reach out to me recently and said, I don't know how you did it. Like you stayed professional. You kept all the balls in the air. And I said, well, because realistically, I practice what I preach. I followed my self-care. I follow the things that I teach my clients. And so when things got really difficult, I leaned back and leaned into the same things that I teach my clients. And that's what helped me through.
Wow. I mean, you have such a beautiful family, and, you know, it's only going to make you stronger. I mean, going through this adversity with such young children in a different state, it could be scary, but you all banded together, and through the support of family and friends, things are looking way better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We went to the pool last week. We were able to actually jump in the pool. It was the first time he had been able to go into a pool since last August. So that was kind of a first and an exciting, you know, moment to celebrate. So yeah, everything is just going in the right direction now.
That's great. And my efforts continue to work with community leaders to give back. In New York, in the tri-state area, people are still struggling with food insecurity. And this is a couple of co-hosts of shows on our Chapters Network. That's Ashley Blum and Tyler G. and Cheddar. We gave out over 50 turkeys last week to families that couldn't get out for Passover and for the Easter holiday. So they came. If they couldn't make it to that center in Long Island, we went door to door to deliver them. And Tyler is 24-year-old young man who's a musician. He co-hosts a show called the Chapters Rap Youth Heroes Show, and Ashley Blum co-hosts the show. She's 16, and she hosts a show at 16 years old called Teen Talk with Ashley Blum. So great work. You know, I want to commend them. So part of what I do, there we go. Look at all those turkeys. I was going to give you one, Steph, but you didn't show up on me. So, but anyway, we gave them all out, and families were thankful. And you know what? What's good about a turkey is that you can cook it and it lasts you for a little longer. You can make turkey soup, turkey sandwiches, turkey this, turkey that. But people were really thankful for that. So I'm just grateful to be a part of a team. And this is us paying it forward in the Bronx. There's a homeless shelter there, and we're giving food and rice to people in the Bronx. So it's been a great run. It's been almost a year and a quarter now that we've been doing this each and every day. So I want to thank everybody and Stephanie for acknowledging it. But we all need to pay it forward. Family comes first. Our neighbors, we got to help our neighbors at all times. But the relationships are so very important. And some relationships are healthy. some aren't so healthy. And Dr. Phil kind of looked at this recently about toxic relationships. And before we bring out guests, I wanted to pop this little video on so we can all check it out. And then we'll bring in Tiffany Ball in real soon. Let's check out Dr. Phil.
I think it's really important in any relationship that you ask yourself this question: what is my cost for being in this relationship? Because there's a cost in every relationship you're in. There's a cost. And you have to ask yourself, what is the cost of being in there? If the cost is you have to lose yourself, you can't be who you are, do what you do, you can't be the person you are because you must conform to them in order to coexist peacefully, the cost is you. If the cost is you have to work at it, that's okay. The cost is you have to make some sacrifices, that's okay. But ask yourself in every relationship you're in, what's the cost for being in this relationship? And you'll see real quick whether it's worth the price or whether it's not.
You got to have a good, strong, solid no muscle that you can stand in, and you got to have a yes muscle. You got to say no to the things that don't honor you, no to the things that don't bring you joy, no to the things that don't bring you peace, and you don't have to explain your no. You got to have 101 different ways to say no. You matter, and your no matters, and don't back up on your no. Don't draw your line in the sand, and when somebody crosses it, you back up and draw another line. No, stand on your line. Stand for your no.
How do you forgive a family member that you have to be in constant contact with, and though you forgive, the offense continues to happen? How do you manage that?
I think, first of all, in all that get an understanding. You cannot forgive what you don't understand. Understanding what makes people do what they do, it doesn't excuse them, it doesn't exonerate them, but it is so much easier to cope with a family member when you understand this is an addiction, this is an alcoholic behavior, you are broken in some way. So I can't expect a radio that's broken to play like a radio that's not broken. Once you understand that, you adjust your expectations to deliverables on the level of the person's capacity. Everybody doesn't have the same capacity. And when you expect somebody to love on a gallon level and they are a pint person, you're gonna be frustrated the rest of your life.
Woo! I love that. That is good. Basically, what you're saying is, if you got haters around you, in your family or not, you gotta get them out of your wagon.
Have you ever taken an idea to a person, or no matter what you take to them, it's not a good idea?
Right.
It's just something wrong. You know, when I share an idea with you, and you don't show me how to make that idea work, all your conversation is why it won't work,
yeah.
I immediately end that conversation. I'm not interested in why it won't work. That's going to arise on the journey. I just need to know, can you feel what I'm saying? Are you on board with it? Do you have a suggestion how to make it work? The moment I hear, well, I don't think that'll work. Okay, cool, thank you. And I'm gone.
You know, one of the things that Maya Angelou used to always say to me, and I love this, I actually said it at her memorial service. She used to say to me, because in the beginning, it used to bother me so much when people would talk about the haters. And she used to say to me, baby, those people can't hold a candle to the light that God already has shining on your face.
Yeah.
Can't you see the light that God has shining on your face?
That's
and so I learned to focus on the light that God has shining on my face and not worry about the people who are trying to put up a candle and burn it.
Wow, it's Dr. Phil with Oprah there. And, he said a lot of profound things, really important.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote down a few things that I wanted to touch base on. And, I think that one of the things that was really important was everyone does not have the same capacity as you do, or same capacity in general. I mean, to know that some people are coming from really broken homes, that have never experienced healthy relationships, that have all this other baggage, they're not going to be capable of giving you what you want or need. Right. And as soon as we're able to finally let that go and stop trying to force them to give us what we want or need, when they're not able to, we either have to accept that that's how they are and form boundaries around it, or still accept that's how they are and then decide not to be around it. I mean, it's going to go either way.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. But you're been an expert in doing all this kind of great work, and I've been doing my work. But we also have Tiffany Ball here. We're going to bring her in. I think she's in the Virginia area. So we want to welcome Tiffany to Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb, the EUM project, Educating Universal Minds. And here she is, Tiffany Ball. Welcome to our show.
Hi, thank you guys. I was literally the whole time Stephanie's over there talking. I'm like, yeah. She speaks so much to, the way of life that I have. And the one thing I really that touched me a lot about what you were saying about what happened with you and your husband is the fact that you knew what to do because this is a way of life for you. And I think people don't understand the things when we're in positions like this, to teach or to coach or to guide other people. We're just teaching you how we live. Like, this is just the way that we live. And I love that you were able, to get through such a tough time and to fall into and get comfortable with who you really are. So I love that. And I commend you.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's why, I'm sorry, Steve, but that's one of the things too, I think that's so important, is that when you're finding someone to work with, finding someone who can understand the experience of what you're going through, I think is so much more helpful and valid, because they've been there, done that. And now they're able to, like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. You're happy, you're healthy now. I want to kind of do what you're doing. And I think that's such an important thing, is to live the way we teach others to live, to lead by example, as opposed to do as I say, not as I do.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And Tiffany, you said that you were nodding your head like this when Stephanie was talking. I do the same thing for the whole year, because she is spot on with so many things. My neck hurts because she says she does so many great things. But Tiffany, you're doing great things too. Let our viewers out there know what exactly you are doing.
So I'm actually a confidence coach. I work with professional women to help them overcome the issues with self-doubt that we sometimes have. The majority of my clientele are starter from the bottom, now we're here type women. And so what that means is basically we all started from humble beginnings. And it's kind of it propels us forward a lot of the times when we come from nothing and our background isn't, the healthiest, or, I was super poor. I always talk about syrup sandwiches and, hamburger and rice and going to the laundromat. But what that did was that propelled me forward. I used all of that to create a career and become super successful in what I did and make a lot of money. But there's a lot of baggage that comes along with that. And there's a lot of expectations that we think we need to stand up to and hold up to throughout our lives, which just leads to self-doubt. And so what I do is I work with women, to develop 6 essential skills to help them overcome that self-doubt.
Wow. That is great. And what the origins of the work that you've done, sometimes Stephanie talks from personal experience. I've talked from personal experience. Has there been personal experience in your life that kind of guided you in this direction?
100%. I come from the school of hard knocks. Like, that's me. And that's because, I actually, I'm always super honest about my background. I had 20 years in hospitality, dropped out of college. But in that time, I developed an addiction to alcohol. And so I was an alcoholic and got to the point in my career where I almost lost it. And when I quit drinking, the profound moment came to me when I realized, when somebody told me, I went to an AA party, right? A dance, which is probably one of the most depressing things when you're used to like VIP clubs. And so I go to this AA dance party, and afterwards I left and I felt so depressed, and I felt the exact same way I would feel when I was leaving the club. And so I called someone in AA and I asked her, I was like, dude, what's wrong? Like, if I'm going to feel this way, not drunk, I might as well drink. And she's like, Tiffany, you have to understand that the alcohol was just a symptom. That's not your problem. You're your problem. And it was just profound for me to understand that nothing else is my problem. It's just me. And if it's me, then there's a solution. because I have control over myself. And so it was just a freedom to understand that I could develop myself and school myself and, trial and error myself out of the things that I had struggled with for such a long time. I mean, I'm 6 years sober as of last week. So
Wow.
it's been a, thank you so much. It's been a process, but it's also an understanding that we can change. And that was my biggest thing, is that I can change. And so many people think that they can't. And it's sad. And that's why I got into what I'm doing. I quit my, 6-figure career and ventured out on my own and started, helping women and paying it forward and being of service to others. And this feels so much better.
Wow. So great. Congratulations, first of all,
Thank
6
you.
years. That's great. What was it hard for you at the beginning to just become sober and to kind of give up that lifestyle?
To give up the lifestyle, yes, but to become sober, no. People fluctuate when it comes to drinking. You have or any kind of addiction. Sometimes it's easy for people, and sometimes it's not, and people go in and out. And for me, the desire to drink went away. Once I made the decision to quit drinking, that went away. What I struggled with was how to become a normal human being. Like, my emotions fluctuated. I didn't know how to handle things. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know, how to control my emotions. I didn't know what toxic behaviors were. I got into so many absolutely ridiculously unhealthy relationships, even sober. So it was just trying to figure out, and dissect and dismantle all of the things that I'd been carrying around for years that had been keeping me in this place. Because I think I tell people it was a blessing to be an alcoholic, because so many people are stuck and unhappy, but don't have a life or death situation to make them move forward. And I did, because it was either lose everything or change. And so I changed. And so I'm so lucky that I was able to be forced to make the moves, because I'm so much happier now. My life is in a place I never dreamed that it could be. And I love being able to show other women that is possible for them.
I love that. And I love that, because I feel like, when you're telling that part of your story, and I had just seen, I just saw you celebrate your anniversary of sobriety. And when I work with my clients healing from unhealthy relationships from other people, they're dealing with some of the similar things, because they were numbing with somebody else, with somebody else's problems, with stressing out about worrying about somebody else. And so that now all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have to feel my own feelings, and I have to deal with my own stuff. And I don't know how to do this. And so I think that what you're saying, I think, will resonate for so many people, because it's not just, like you said, it's not just about the alcohol. That was a symptom of what really was the underlying issue that was going on for you.
Right. Exactly. I love the way that you connected those two, because I work with a different type of woman. I work with women that don't 100% focus on relationships, even though the skills that I teach actually do help them with relationships. But to see that women who struggle with unhealthy relationships and behaviors within that relationship, they struggle with the same thing. And I love that, because really it's all about creating a strong foundation to build yourself up on. And that strong foundation really only has a few essential things that one needs to learn how to do before you can really become limitless in your ability to do anything. And I love the fact that you all work with women, especially with you, Stephanie, in the relationship aspect, because it is something that so many women struggle with. So it's easy to say you know how to do something, but to actually implement it consistently in your life, that's the journey. That's the everyday choice that we have to make.
Do you find, I think that, when you work with high achieving women, I work with men too, but we're really mostly women. And I think actually I'll take that back. Men and women that we work with have a big issue with asking for help.
Oh, girl. That's literally the biggest problem I feel anyone has in a relationship, when they struggle with addiction, when they struggle with feeling insecure at work, when they struggle with feeling like they're not a good parent. Anytime we have issues within our lives and we feel like we're not living up to some kind of expectation we set for ourselves, the biggest mistake I feel like we make is not asking for help. Is thinking that asking for help is a weakness. And I don't know where that narrative came from, but it's time for us to get rid of it because it's not helping anybody. It really isn't.
That's right. This is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail. I'm Steve Vaccaro. We're here every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we have the pleasure of having Tiffany Ball, and we're talking about relationships, and her EUM project, Educating Universal Minds, is really helping so many people in the Virginia area and abroad. But I look at, when Stephanie's on the screen there, I always look behind her. She has a book, she has a family, and beautiful pictures, sets the stage. And behind you, Tiffany, you have something that says strive for progress, not for
Perfection.
Explain that.
I learned that saying, and for some reason, anytime you learn something in the rooms of AA, you automatically think that they made it up, which is not the truth half of the time. And so I learned strive for progress, not perfection. Number one, because you think a lot of times for me, I would get stuck on perfection, that I had to do it perfect, that people would judge me if I didn't get it right the first time or get it perfect, or, I had to fit into this specific box. And if I wasn't, living up 100% to being humble and resentments and all the things that I learned, then I wasn't doing it well enough, then I wasn't good. And it's not black and white. As long as I'm every day working towards the same goal, and some days I succeed and some days I don't, but as long as I continue, as long as, number one, when it comes to drinking, I don't take a drink, but as long as I am trying to put myself out there and live by, like we were talking earlier with Stephanie, live by these rules and these expectations that I have, then I'm winning, because there's no such thing as perfect. It's unattainable.
Right. And I think that's a big mistake that people do. They want perfection, and when they don't get it, then they kind of let go. They're not, they're disinterested or distracted about whatever they're trying to achieve. And I think that says volumes of just saying that alone, and that's saying for our viewers out there. So thank you for sharing that thought. And
that actually it feeds into the idea that you're not good enough, that self-doubt that people have, because you're failing at being perfect. Everybody fails at being perfect because it's an unattainable goal. It's not achievable. And so you just continue this cycle of feeling bad and not good enough and crappy about yourself because your goal is set way too high. You're never going to get there.
Right.
It would be inhuman to be perfect. I feel like
you're not right. No way. I'm so glad that I'm messy, girl. I tell people all the time, my goal is to turn my mess into a message. My life was very messy. There was very fun and glamorous parts of my life, but a lot of it was messy, and I had to go through that to get to a point where I can share with other people, to save them some suffering and some pain.
So, Tiffany, do you think that messiness has created the person you are now? Would you go through that again, or 100%. Would you start 100%?
100%. There's not anything that I would change. And I say that knowing that I've hurt people, I say that knowing that I've caused other people suffering. I've gone through my life and made amends. I've built bridges back. I've made, amends with people that I haven't seen in years, but through that recovery process, I've learned so much and I've grown so much. And I'm allowing, what I do is I'm allowing other people to skip over that mess by me going through it. And if I can do that for, hundreds of women, thousands of women, it's well worth the mess. 100%.
Wow. And I'm always amazed, because I hear from Stephanie too, that you're a 6-figure salaried, high intelligent woman. How did you get yourself in different toxic relationships, and was it hard for you to break away from those relationships?
Oh Lord. I got into them because I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like. You know, we grow up as women, right, with this another unattainable idea of what a relationship is by watching Disney princess stories. And I was I loved romantic novels I would read. And then, I had this idea of what a relationship was supposed to look like, but I never could find them. And so then I would settle. And I also, on the other end of that, I was dealing with never feeling like I never loved myself. And so I just allowed people to set the bar for how I was supposed to be treated. So I knew nothing about boundaries. I knew nothing about speaking up for myself, loving myself, acting as if I loved myself. I knew nothing about communicating other than a toxic, dramatic, passive aggressive way. And so you like equals like. You're going to attract what it is that you are. And I was toxic. I think we have to understand that if I don't know how to behave in a way that is conducive to a healthy relationship, then somebody who knows how to behave in that way, I don't think is going to be attracted to me, because I'm a hot, I'm a mess. I'm not acting in a way that's attractive to them. And so I had to understand that it started with me, that it wasn't that I'm out here, I was searching for and I kept picking the wrong men. I don't think that's what it was, more than it was I wasn't in a place where I could put myself and conduct myself in a healthy relationship. And so I took what I could get. And usually 100% most times it wasn't a great relationship. So.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes too, I think that when we're looking for excitement, and excitement is not necessarily in our minds, especially if we're not used to that, excitement is not a healthy relationship. Excitement is the bad boy. It's the one who's going to cause trouble with us, It's not going to be the best place to drama and excitement is not really what you want in a relationship.
Right. And now my relationship consists of watching movies and going to the park and all those boring things. It was so funny. We were sitting on the couch the other day. My partner's name is Sean. And we were sitting on the couch and Liam was asleep. And what we do is we fold laundry while we watch a movie. And we were folding laundry. He's doing his, I'm doing Liam's. And and this happens to me now, I just get these overwhelming feelings of satisfaction and happiness and joy. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know why I'm sitting here so happy while I'm folding laundry, but I'm happy. Like in general, in my life, I am happy doing something so not exciting. And I lived an exciting life, guys. I worked in hospitality and hotels. I traveled around the United States. I've met famous people. I've been in VIP sections. Like I've done a lot of stuff, but I was never happy. Not a moment.
So, Tiffany, I have a whole bunch of laundry here. Can you?
I'm really good at folding laundry. I actually don't mind folding laundry. I hate doing laundry, but I'll fold your laundry all day.
All right. But that's great. But you talked about your son, Liam.
Oh yes,
he is a beautiful boy.
Look
at those eyes.
Look, most people don't think that he's mine. Not most people, but some people are like, really, that's your son? But you see the curly hair, that belongs to me. But he does look like his dad. But he's actually who I named my company after. It's the EM is EUM, but it's the EM Project, because he is turning 3 next month. And for the first year, when he first started being able to talk, he thought his name was EM, not Liam. So that is who I named my company after, because I want it to be a legacy for him. I want it to be a place of generational wealth for him. And so he can understand not just what I do for the world and for women, but that I'm doing these things to instill a healthier way to be in him, right? Because when we grow up, we learn how to be loved from our parents and how we were raised. And I was not taught a healthy way of loving. And I need to show him the ways in which I wasn't showed when I was younger. And I've forgiven my mom. We have the greatest relationship, but it's not just for me. It's not just for my partner. It's for my children. My child, I won't be having anymore.
Enough with one. I understand.
And I'm done too. So
there you go.
we're all in agreement here. But the children really make who you are, and to have a company with your son in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so young. This has the potential of so many great things for you and the people that you're inspiring, but also for him and the other people that he's going to be connected with over the years.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one day I'll pass it on to him, because I
Yeah.
have my goals are super high. My goals for this company and what I want to do and how I want to change the world are super high, and they just keep growing, and there's nothing stopping me from doing that. And that's the gift that I have that I want to share with everyone else, that no matter, Stephanie or Steve, what your dreams are, you're capable of them. And so many of us think that we're not. And that's the sad part, is that we think we have to live in this box, in this space, because that's where we were born and that's where somebody else put us. We think that's where we have to be, and it's not. Like, it's literally, our life is limitless. Besides, you have to wear a mask.
My dad freaked out. Like, when I said, like, hey, Dad, I'm going to leave my, New York teaching position to go move to Texas and run my business full time. He was like, and my dad trusts me. Like, he definitely trusts me. He knows I wouldn't leave that out of nowhere. But my mom, every once in a while, she was like, are you sure? Like, could you still get your job back if you wanted to? Like, she questions every once in a while. But when you feel it, because I understand that vision, there's such a bigger vision, and there's so much greatness to go forward from here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where I was before, I was going to stay in that box. I was saying this to someone the other day. I remember going to work and people saying, I only have 17 more years until I retire, and then I can go live where I want. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awful. Why would you count down till you retire? Like, oh,
right.
No.
Right. That sounds awful. Like, an understanding that it's because Liam changed my life. He changed my thought process of what I wanted. Not that I could obtain it and achieve it, but what I wanted, because I was working, I'd gotten promoted 2 days after I got back from maternity leave, and I took over 2 hotels and had to move to Colorado. And when I took over 2 hotels never close, guys. I just never had enough time for him. And when I got home, I didn't want to do anything with him. And I was like, this is not what I want. Like, this is not the way that I want to live my life. And I have worked years to achieve this, but it's not what I want to do. And so I quit that, and we moved closer to my mom in Virginia. And it's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I've never, because it's learning, right? Like, if you had no idea how to run a company when you first started a company, nobody does, right? Mm-hmm. You have to learn these things, and there's a learning curve. And so what kills, I think, a lot of people in any venture they have that's different, whether it be moving on to a different relationship, leaving the one that they have, thinking that they deserve a better one, all those things can be with your job, can be with where you live, can be with whatever in your life. The area that you have to just be able to get over the hurdle, the next hurdle, and not quit. And so many people give up and they go back because
I love what you said there before about, you worked so hard to get to this place, and then you looked at it and you're like, this isn't what I want. And I think for people watching right now, like, rewatch that part and just listen to it again, because I think that we feel like we've worked so hard for a mistake, we're going to keep making it.
Right. Girl, preach.
It's okay. It's not, you get there and you're like, you look around, like, if you're driving somewhere and you realize you've gone the wrong direction, or maybe you wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, now you get there, you're like, it's not really that cool. And then you leave. It's okay. It's okay to do that. Yes. But so many of us are so committed to the mistake that we keep making it over and over again. And then we're disappointed in, like, the world for making us stay when we could shift at any moment.
Right. And that's what happened to me. I was on the way to the TV studio. I made a wrong turn and wound up at the bowling alley. So now I'm doing the show at the bowling alley.
No, you aren't. Sorry.
I love bowling.
Anyway, no, we have a fundraiser here going on, so I had to kind of shift gears a little bit. But this is Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. I'm Steve Vaccaro, one of your hosts, and that's Stephanie McPhail, who's a great author, a great person. And we have another great woman, Tiffany Ball, who's talking about her journey. But in the work that you do, Tiffany, the challenges and rewards. Can you share that a little bit?
Yes, the biggest challenge for me is not getting too involved, because I have such aspirations for people, and I understand that anybody can do the things and have the lives that we live. Anybody can, but you have to believe that you can have it, and you have to want to do the work. And I have to not take it personally when someone doesn't want to do the work. And so finding motivated, driven women that understand there's a piece of humility that goes into recognizing there's a problem with you and that we need to change that. And just because something's, there's an area of opportunity doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that, that you have to stay and continue. And just like Stephanie was saying with the mistakes, we think that because we make a mistake, it means something about us. We're terrible. We're horrible. We're not good enough. And that's literally not it. It's part of life. And so the hardest part for me is I can't save everybody, because not everybody wants to be saved. Not everybody wants to learn what it is that I have to give. And I have to be okay with that. The best part is literally seeing the transformation within these women and seeing them change their lives. One of the people I used to work with, it's a funny story I like to tell people. One of the two hotels, my dual director of sales, she was married at the time, and she had been in this relationship with her husband, and it was very tumultuous and it was very toxic. And she was so afraid of leaving because she didn't want to leave, because he had manipulated and said he was going to do things if she left, and she was afraid of leaving. And so me and her had these conversations, and through some of the skills that I taught her, and this is somebody I work with, she's actually a really good friend of mine now, she's one of my best friends. She left him. And less than a year and a half, it's been 2 years, coming up on 2 years since they broke up and she left. She has a better relationship with her son. She moved to Florida. She makes more money, has invested in a business, and just got married to someone who is adores her. And so because she made the decision, it's taking the steps. And so to be able to see somebody's life change and see the transformation within their face and their aha moment and in their lives, there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better. If I could just get paid bare minimum to do this on a regular, the feeling alone of seeing these women achieve the things that they want would be absolutely worth it.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I mean. And I know Steve is does it for the same reason. I mean, those breakthrough aha moments, when you see all of a sudden all this energy that they've been using on everybody else, and they start actually focusing it on themselves, the abilities of what you can do are just endless. I mean, the sky is the limit. I had a friend of mine, she'd say, you were like a bird with this lead weight. And every time you'd cut off the lead weight and start to soar, it was almost like you didn't know what to do with it. So you reattached to some lead weight that brought you down. And it wasn't until I permanently got rid of the lead weights and started to allow myself to soar, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can do all this stuff. I was able to get out of your own thinking, those negative thoughts that come up, and realize we can make something different. And to watch clients do that is just, it's beautiful. It makes me cry. Like, we cry with our clients every week during our live streams with my husband and I. We're both tears, when they share something cool going on, a celebration they have. We're like, oh, don't mind us. We're just happy. Actually, someone said to me the other day, she's like, you have a lot of kids. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, all of the clients that you work with, you guys are like our parents. And I'm like, oh, I guess you're right.
I love that. I love it. Send them out in the world. Send them out in the world. Go fly, little birdie. I love that. Love it.
That's right. This is Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail. If you're just tuning in, I'm Steve Vaccaro. That's our special guest, Tiffany Ball. And she is the organizer, director of the EUM project after her son, Liam. Awesome, awesome work. So the pandemic, how has that hit you? And what's some of your goals for 2021? I know we're approaching May already. I can't believe that. But how did the pandemic hit you? And how are you going to connect with these women moving forward?
The pandemic, and sometimes there's a little hesitation with me saying this, because I don't like to turn anyone else's experience. I don't want to, say that there's something wrong with the way that they experience the pandemic because everybody's different. The pandemic offered me the opportunity to do what I'm doing now. And I took the furlough and I ran with it. And I put all of my effort, all of my money, all of my time into building something that I can share with the world. And so within the last year and a half, really the last 7 to 8 months, that's been my focus. And so it has really done me well. It has allowed me to see the importance of staying home with my son and having the time with him, having control of my time. God forbid, never in my life have I been like, oh, I'm going to work today, and then sat down and worked and been like, I think I'm going to go on a drive. Like I have control over my day.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so it's done a really good job on getting me level and getting me intentional about what's important to me and what I want to give to the world. And it's allowed me to be able to put that in perspective and to start doing it and actually doing it. And so how I have started to achieve this is I've created an 8-week program. It's called Emerge with the Gardner Method, which is a method that I put together. It's 6 essential skills. It's an 8-week coaching program designed to help you develop these 6 essential skills. And these skills help you overcome self-doubt. I mean, it's like I was talking about earlier about building yourself a foundation, a firm foundation to create whatever it is that you want. So it's like, if you want to start confidently expressing yourself, without fear of what other people are going to think, or you want to feel comfortable making mistakes and learn how to not allow them to define you in your life. If you want to mend relationships, if you want to build relationships, connect better, love yourself better, right? These are the skills that I teach within this program. And so the program gives you the freedom to be who you want to be. And I think that a lot of women struggle, especially professional women, because we have to fit into places that weren't usually meant for us, that were not created for us in the first place. And so that pushes us into a space where we're not comfortable being who we are. And the skills that I teach allow you to be who you are, whoever that is, doesn't matter who it is, and be comfortable in your own skin. And like me and Stephanie were talking about earlier, when you learn these skills that we both know, and she teaches as well, when you learn these skills, your life literally becomes limitless. There's nothing you can't achieve. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing better than feeling and knowing and believing that whatever it is that you want, you can have. Because that living a life of abundance, that's the way I live. I know that's the way Stephanie lives. And Steve, your abundance goes to everyone around you. So I know that's the way you live. So it's being able, and not everybody feels that way. And so it's my job now, thank goodness, to make sure that I can help as many women as possible develop those skills and start to live that.
Very inspiring. Stephanie, amazing, right?
Yeah. I did good. I found a good guest, didn't I?
You did good. You did good. You did more than good. You did more than good. So, Tiffany, you mentioned you setting up high goals for yourself. Throw one out there. What's a high goal that you have?
The high goal that I have was in the next 2 years, I'm going to take 500 women through this program. That's actually a very attainable goal. The highest goal that I have is actually starting an app that connects people. And I won't tell you the details. I don't want anybody to steal my idea.
Nope.
And then after that, my end goal is to start charter schools for children, to start teaching things to get outside of the curriculum of putting children in a box. And so I want it to be from preschool to 12 and to teach and nurture children into who they're supposed to be versus who society thinks that they should be. And so that's my ultimate goal. There's a long way to go before there, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, but you got to lay it out. You got to know what you're striving for, and that's 100%. Great. And
Do I know how to start a school? No, absolutely not. Will I know how to start a school? Eventually, yeah.
There we go. That's the spirit. Because during this pandemic, you have a choice to make: either shut it down and kind of cave in, or you reinvent yourself and go for those goals. And that's how Stephanie and I, during the whole pandemic, we had these chats, shows throughout the pandemic, healing and helping people in unhealthy relationships because they were stuck home with those unhealthy relationships. So I admire Stephanie, the work that she does and how we were able to bring it together. So I'm so happy to hear that, because that's inspiring. When there's a negative thing, you could turn things around just by who you are. And now you have the freedom, and you have little Liam. I mean, that's a great story. It's an amazing story.
And it's a choice, like you said.
And I want to throw on there too that, coming from a place of not having much, so a place of lack, and now you're in a place of abundance. The whole thinking behind that is so different. And to be able to share that, I worked in a low-income school. Kids were on free reduced lunch, actually all free lunch. And, that was the lack of not having enough was such a big concern for so many of our kids, that if we could start teaching them younger that there is the possibility to create the life that they want, and not just, like you said, fit into a box of do these 3 things, and you can actually, the world is your oyster. Like if you can create it, you can make it. If you can imagine it, you can create it. And I think that that's such an important thing to start having kids learn younger, that what they can do is limitless if they put their mind to it and really get the right support to get there.
It's literally I'm tearing up, because that's the goal I feel like both of us, all of us have in common, is making the world a better place. And really it starts with the belief that it can be a better place, guys, that it can, that we have control and we can play a part in it. And until you start to believe that, things won't change. You'll always just be, and you always still just get the same thing. You have to start moving in different ways, and you have to believe that you can do it, and you can change and affect the world. And I really love that. I really appreciate that you just said that, Stephanie.
And Tiffany, did you know Stephanie was a superhero?
I did, and I saw that picture, and she looked good.
Yeah,
in my socks.
Yeah, she goes to work like that every day. It's like unbelievable.
I'm telling you.
Well, funny story though. I mean, that specific picture is, so my husband had the emergency surgery that he almost died. That is from Halloween. So he had the emergency surgery on the 30th. He was in surgery till almost 1:00 in the morning. And my kids were really excited to dress up because we were going to be a superhero family. So I went to the ICU, which is where my husband was, in full superhero outfit.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I went to go see him, and I was turning heads. But what was funny is that there were so many people that were tears in their eyes of just joy seeing someone coming. I didn't know what I was going to walk into. The last I had heard, he was still intubated. I didn't know if he was going to talk. I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, I want to bring joy.
Yeah.
Let's just bring joy. So the amount of joy, people were like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're a superhero. Oh, it was so fun in that moment of I don't know what's going on with my husband, to be able to bring joy to others. And still even his surgeon was like, you're funny. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that. Love that so much.
Yeah,
Your story is absolutely amazing, Stephanie. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities to both you women, and it's such a blessing to have Tiffany or you on the show tonight, because you're helping and healing so many folks. Can you share again, how can people get a hold of you and contact you so they can seek you out to get that more work that you offer?
Absolutely. So I'm actually holding a training class this Thursday, which is tomorrow. If you have any questions, if you'd like to get in contact with me, I have a group. I'm on Facebook, Tiffany Ball, also under the EM Project. The EMProject.com or EM Project. Yeah, that's it. The EMProject.com, Educating Universal Minds. And you can find me on Facebook. You can actually find me on LinkedIn as well, because I am super active on LinkedIn. So you can find me there, message me there, go to my website. And you also, on my website, you can contact me as well.
Wow. And Stephanie, you got a little visitor with you there.
Yeah, she popped in. You want to say hi to everybody?
More blue eyes.
Yeah,
beautiful.
blue eyes all over.
Well, Tiffany, I want to thank you so very much for joining with us here today. And I know your future is very bright. And I'm sure we're going to see each other down the road real soon.
Absolutely. And I just want to thank both of you for having me on it. I love doing things like this. I love talking to intelligent and inspiring people. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure being here.
Well, God bless you. Take care of yourself, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie, unbelievable guest, unbelievable show. And thank you for bringing Tiffany to our viewers.
Thank you. Well, and it was great. I mean, it really is nice when you can bring someone on that has so much passion and excitement and, you know, similar goals in their life. And so I really, that was a lot of fun. I had a good time hanging out with Tiffany and you today.
Yeah, it's great. Well, we have our 2 guests coming up. We have pictures of them. We're going to pop them on the screen. Next week, I think we have Shivani Davis, who's from Brooklyn, April 21st, and she does amazing work. And I can't wait to have her on the show. And the following week, we have Marta Stark is an unbelievable guest as well. So it's going to be a great couple of weeks with great guests.
I'm excited. Got good stuff coming up.
Yep. Well, thank you so very much. We want to thank you. That's our Chapters Network. We have a bunch of shows. If you want to be a part of this, please contact us at 516-476-6271. Become part of our network. And God bless you, Stephanie. God bless your family. And we'll see each other next week.
Bye.
All right.